Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. They called us at 3:12 a.m., not local animal control. Us, the other team. The one that doesn't show up in the yellow trucks with little dog logos. No tranquilizer darts, no catch poles. Our vests are black, our weapons louder than our radios, and the dogs we deal with don't bark. They howl right before they rip someone's rib cage open like it's a wet bag of chips. I was already awake, couldn't sleep again. I was sitting in the dark with a cup of coffee that had gone cold in my hand, flipping through a report on my tablet when the call came through the secure line. The name of the town blinked at me like it was some kind of joke. Copper Ridge, Colorado. Population 1,254. I read the alert out loud to no one. Multiple livestock killed, 2 residents missing, deep tissue lacerations, howling reported near tree line, standard checklist, pattern match, group leukosis, level 2 risk, likely infected pack, probably spreading. The file was marked with a silver triangle in the upper corner, which meant we had less than 24 hours before this wasn't a cleanup job. It was a containment job. I was the first to arrive at base. The others followed fast. Reyes came in half-zipped, adjusting her vest, cigarette clenched in her teeth. Carter rolled in with a protein bar and that dumb look he always had when he knew we were going to get to shoot something. Our medic, Lee, didn't say a word. Just nodded and handed me the kill kit to double check. By 4:17 a.m., we were wheels up in the transport van, our black uniforms stitched with the same 2 words over the chest. Division Wolf. I leaned against the side of the van, eyes on the map. Copper Ridge wasn't far. 1 highway in, 2 roads through the mountains, and a few dirt trails that looked more like veins on satellite view. We pulled in just after dawn. Fog clung low across the ground like it didn't want to leave. The sun felt muted. The air had that wrong smell, heavy, metallic, like something that had been buried too long was now rotting above ground. A deputy met us at the gas station, where he'd made his base camp, shaking hands, looked like he hadn't slept all night. "You the government?" he asked, eyes darting between our gear. I gave him a tight nod. "Show us where it happened." He drove ahead in his cruiser while we followed. The town wasn't anything remarkable. Few shops, school, a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since the 70s. But the damage, that was fresh. The first sight was a barn, what used to be a barn. Now it was shredded from the outside in, wooden beams ripped like toothpicks, blood smeared across hay bales, not puddled, smeared, like something had been dragged. Carter stood in the doorway, scanning with his thermal. Nothing. Whatever hit this moved fast. "Or it's sleeping off the meal," Lee muttered, running a gloved finger along one of the claw marks in the doorway, 4 inches deep. Wood split like butter. "You see what did this?" I asked the deputy. He swallowed, shook his head. "No, but one of the farmers said he heard howling last night." Said it sounded like 5 or 6, same time. Said it didn't sound like coyotes. Sounded angry. I nodded. That lined up. Pack behavior usually started with livestock kills. Group Luposis didn't go full human hunting unless they were desperate, hungry, or infected long enough that their human mind had completely degraded. By mid-morning, we'd swept 3 more kill sites, a horse pen, a chicken coop, and an old bus stop where we found a torn shirt and half a boot with something fleshy still in it. Then Reyes caught it, blood trail leading into the woods behind the ridge. Tracks too, she said, crouching low. 6 sets, deep impressions. Whatever it is, it's heavy, upright, mostly, but not always. We all stared into the trees. Standard protocol would have had us wait till nightfall, when group Luposis were most active, easier to draw out. But something felt off. My instincts were yelling, throat tight with that old familiar pressure, like the world was holding its breath. We moved in, thick pine forest. Visibility was crap, sound muffled by moss and fog. The deeper we went, the less we heard. No birds, no bugs, just our boots and our breathing. Then the first howl cracked the air. It wasn't far. It was followed by another and another. Different tones, different throats. Reyes whispered, "That's too many for one pack." I turned, whispering back, "No, it's one pack, but it's bigger than it should be." We dropped into a perimeter. I scanned the trees through NV. That's when I saw it. A pair of eyes, reflective, low to the ground, watching. I gave the signal. Reyes raised her rifle, slow. The eyes disappeared. But something else hit us. The smell. Wet fur and blood and copper. Like the forest exhaled rot straight into our lungs. Then all hell broke loose. From the left, Carter screamed. Gunfire exploded. Trees cracked. Something fast tackled him out of view. We opened fire. 1 target, then 2. Tall shapes moving between trees. Too fast. Their silhouettes didn't look right. Too long in the arms, heads like stretched wolves, but the bodies upright, twisted, somewhere between man and beast. I caught one in the leg. It dropped, snarling, then bounded away on all 4s. Reyes shouted, "They're flanking." Lee went down next, claws across his chest. He hit the dirt with a wet grunt. I grabbed him, dragged him back as we laid down cover fire. By the time we regrouped, we'd lost visual. The woods were silent again, but blood marked the ground, some of it theirs, and something even worse, bite marks on Lee's shoulder. We stabilized him, but everyone knew what that meant. We all stood there in the clearing, surrounded by pine trees and shredded gear, hearts pounding. Reyes broke the silence. "This isn't a cleanup job anymore," she said quietly. "It's an infestation." We carried Lee back in shifts. He was half conscious and mumbling, his breath ragged, shallow. The bite was deep, jaw-sized, clamped onto his shoulder blade like a bear trap. I saw bits of cloth and skin tangled in the gash. The bleeding slowed by the time we reached the tree line, which should have been good news. But Reyes and I exchanged a look. We both knew the stages. Stage 1, shock. Stage 2, fever. Stage 3, the voice. And after that, you're no longer talking to a person. You're talking to what's left of them. We made it back to the van around noon. Fog had lifted, replaced by a blistering, cloudless sky. The town was quieter than before. Too quiet. I didn't like it. Carter was still rattled. He kept cleaning his rifle even though it was spotless. "They came out of nowhere, man," he said, not looking up. "I've fought Liposis packs before. That wasn't normal. That wasn't a hunting pattern." I nodded. "It was coordinated." "Exactly. They were flanking, using distraction. One even went low when I shot high." Reyes pulled out her satellite phone and walked away to make the call to command. Her voice stayed calm, but I caught pieces. 3 hostiles confirmed, aggressive, no verbal response, multiple casualties, 1 wounded, possible infection. "No, sir, this isn't level 2. It's a breach scenario." She returned 10 minutes later with a pale face and orders we didn't like. "We're on our own until they can get a Class 4 team in. Closest detachment's 12 hours out. Weather delay on the ridge, ice on the pass." "So," Carter muttered, "we're bait." Reyes looked at me. "We need a base of operations, a fallback point. Somewhere we can watch the town and hold the perimeter." I thought for a second. The sheriff's office, cement structure, steel bars, should still have radio access if the tower's intact. We loaded up what gear we had left, stabilized Lee in the back with a morphine drip, and drove into Copper Ridge proper. The town looked worse in daylight. Windows boarded, cars left mid-exit, a shopping cart tipped over in the middle of the street, contents spilled in a lazy arc. No people, not even stray dogs. We pulled up to the sheriff's office and cleared it floor by floor. It was empty, mostly. Signs of struggle in the lobby, blood streaked down the hallway. 1 overturned desk, no bodies, but the cells in the back were intact, and one had a corpse inside. It used to be a man. Now, his throat had been torn out and there were long gouges across his abdomen, but it wasn't the wounds that stopped me. It was his face. It was familiar. I pulled out the town file, cross-referenced the missing persons reports. Yup, Deputy Darren Croy. He'd been reported as one of the first gone. Only he wasn't missing. He was locked in here. "Someone new," Reyes said quietly. Carter walked up, face pale. "You think the sheriff did it?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I didn't have enough data yet, but my gut told me this wasn't just a random outbreak. Someone had already tried to contain it. We moved Lee into one of the back rooms and locked the door. Not the cell, a real room. Somewhere we could monitor him without making it feel like we'd given up on him. We set up motion sensors and thermal at all doors. Claymores at choke points, barricades on the north and west windows. I made the last sweep while Carter kept watch and Reyes dug through the station's files. She pulled an old key ring from the sheriff's drawer. "You're not gonna like this," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "There's a sub-basement. Old bomb shelter from the Cold War, converted to evidence storage. I don't think anyone's been down there in years. Or something came up from there," Carter said from across the room. Before we could argue it, Lee started screaming. I ran to the room. He was thrashing against the cot, pupils dilated, sweating like he'd been dumped in boiling water. Reyes hit him with a second shot of morphine. Didn't work. Then he stopped. Just like that. He looked at us, but not at us. Through us. Like he was trying to remember something far away. His lips moved. I leaned in, expecting words. Instead, he growled, not from his throat, from his chest, a deep, guttural vibration like something alive was under his rib cage trying to speak. I stepped back, pulled my sidearm. Reyes did the same. Lee blinked. His voice came back, barely. Don't let me turn. Then he seized again, his body arched, bones popping. I saw the shape of his shoulder blades shift, tendons straining under skin that looked like it was about to split. We're out of time, I said. Reyes raised her rifle, hands trembling. He's not gone yet. Not yet. But he will be. Lee gasped, choked. The alpha, it's calling. I hear it in my head. And then he smiled. I fired. Clean shot through the brainstem. He dropped instantly. No mess. No scream. Silence. Carter stepped in a moment later. He was infected? I nodded. He knew, Reyes whispered. He heard it. He was connected. I looked at the clock. 6 hours since the bite. That was fast. Too fast. Which meant I opened the case file again, checked the prior outbreaks, confirmed what I already feared. This isn't a standard leuposis strain, Reyes already knew. Mutation. An alpha strain, one infected with full dominance over the others. That's why they're coordinating. That's how they're flanking. Carter turned to the window, pulling the curtain slightly. Outside, across the street, just beyond the edge of the tree line, a shape stood still. Not moving, not hiding. Watching. Tall, slender, longer than a man should be, and smiling. Carter backed away. That thing was standing there before. I thought I imagined it. You didn't? Reyes spoke next, her voice thin. Why's it not attacking? Because it doesn't have to. It knows we're stuck. It's waiting. For what? For nightfall. We spent the last hours of daylight preparing for war. Reyes sealed the windows with furniture and screwed every door shut from the inside. Carter laid out the claymores and checked his drum mags twice. I scavenged what we could from the sheriff's armory. Flashbangs, flares, beanbag rounds. I didn't care if half of it was outdated or marked for riot control only. When the sun dipped below the mountains, riot control was going to be our best-case scenario. None of us said much after Lee. He'd been a friend, a damn good medic. But more than that, he'd been fast, smart, trained to survive, and the infection still turned him in 6 hours flat. Whatever alpha was running this pack, it wasn't just stronger, it was controlling them, changing the rules. They weren't dumb beasts anymore. They were a goddamn unit, By 7:38 p.m., night fell. Thick, black, absolute. And with it, the howling started again. It didn't come from one direction. It came from everywhere, echoing through alleyways, bouncing off rooftops, rising into the sky like a twisted choir. Carter leaned against the barred front window, face pale in the red light of our backup lanterns. "How many you think?" Reyes loaded the last magazine into her M4. "Doesn't matter. We hold this building. We make it to sunrise." We all knew that was bullshit. The sun wasn't our salvation. That was movie logic. These things didn't burn up at dawn. They just got bolder at night. That's when the first one hit the wall. Hard. It was like a car crash. Cement cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then a second impact. Then scratching. Claws against the roof. Something pacing overhead. "Positions," I barked. Carter took north window. Reyes west. I stayed near the stairwell, watching the door to the basement, the one we hadn't opened, not because we were scared of what was down there, but because we knew it might be the only place to escape through later. Motion alarm screamed. "South side," Carter yelled. We didn't see them at first, just movement, shadows streaking between cars. Then one broke cover. It ran like a man until it dropped to all fours and vaulted onto the hood of our van. Silver eyes, foaming mouth, teeth like broken glass, fur hanging in greasy strands down a frame that looked stitched together from wolf and corpse and fever dream. It stared at us for 2 seconds too long. Then it screamed, and they came. 6, 8, maybe more, flooding from alleyways, ripping through fencing, bounding toward the station like demons let loose. Carter opened up first. Full auto burst from his drum mag, rounds lighting the night. One went down, then got back up. Reyes tossed a flashbang. The pop lit up the street like a lightning strike, and for one brief second I saw over a dozen of them. Not 6, not 8, at least 20, maybe more. Teeth and eyes and claws and muscle, all converging on one target. Us. I slammed the steel shutters down as the first creature hit the window. Glass shattered, claws scraped. One got halfway in, and Carter turned its skull into mist with a shotgun slug. They poured in through every breach, ventilation, cracks in the roof. The second-story window we forgot was open. We fell back room by room. Claymore went off, screams, fur on fire. One lost its jaw and still kept crawling. Reyes yelled, "We're not going to hold." "I know," I shouted, dragging her toward the stairwell. "Basement." We slammed the door shut just as the hallway filled with snarling, snapping things. Something slammed against the other side and the door bent inward. Reinforced steel, and it was bending. The shelter below smelled like mold and gun oil, old shelves, water drums, dust that hadn't been disturbed in decades, and a hatch, reinforced, military grade, a tunnel maybe. Reyes checked her sat phone. No signal. Then her eyes widened. The red LED readout flashed something new. Unit linked, signal traced, code alpha present. "What does that mean?" Carter asked. I answered before she could. "It means it's in the building." And then Everything went silent upstairs. No scraping, no howling, no hammering, just silence. Reyes whispered, "They're giving us to it." Then we heard the door to the stairwell creak open. Steps, slow ones, heavy, not multiple, just one. Something tall, something patient. I raised my rifle and focused down the corridor. Reyes flanked left, Carter flanked right. None of us breathed. Then it came around the corner, 9 feet tall, built like something carved from stone and wired with rage, not covered in fur like the others. This one had skin stretched so tight it looked bleached, eyes black, mouth wide, no snout, just teeth. So many fucking teeth. And it was smiling. "You're it," I whispered. It didn't growl, didn't leap. It spoke 3 words, not from a throat, from inside my skull. "One will live." That was enough. I unloaded. Carter did too. Full mags. Reyes threw an incendiary. Fire lit up its chest, and it walked through it, screaming but not in pain, in pleasure. "Tunnel, now," I yelled. We turned and ran, down the last stretch of hallway, opened the hatch, dropped down one by one. We emerged in the forest, hidden exit 1/4 mile out of town. Smoke curled into the sky behind us. The station was burning. The creatures howled again, but not in victory. In mourning, we'd killed some of them, but not the alpha. We moved in silence until the first ridge, just past the tree line. Then Reyes stopped and looked at me. "That thing, it talked to you?" I nodded. Carter wiped blood from his face. "Said one of us would live." "Yeah, and all of us did." We stared at each other. Then the implications hit. Reyes said it first. "It let us go." I nodded. "Why?" And I didn't have an answer. Only a final thought that chilled me worse than the mountain wind. It didn't come to kill us. It came to introduce itself.